Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Agasically Statements from Gearworks.com, the E2KG Network podcasting channel on YouTube, and here, the Rounding Off Infinity Gaming channel on YouTube. Here with the first Infinity Retrospective May 2019 edition. So the Infinity Retros are a summary video that I'm going to do roughly monthly to kind of go back over and recap some of the content that I've posted on the channel for the preceding month, and to let you guys get to know me a little bit more as a gamer. So let's talk about that for a little bit. As a gamer, I have been gaming ever since my father brought home the Magnavox Odyssey, which was the first home video console sold at retail in North America. After that, it was off to the races. So after the Magnavox Odyssey, I wound up getting the Magnavox Odyssey II, which was the first console that I had specifically asked for and said that I wanted. So we got a hold of that. After the Magnavox Odyssey 2, I then got the Sega Master System, and so as a younger kid, I definitely grew up as a member of the Sega camp. My brother had the Nintendo, and that's how the two of us would play the games on both primary consoles that were sold in the U.S. at the time. After that, I bought the Sega Genesis, which was the first console that I bought for myself with my own money. I then had an on-again, off-again relationship with the Genesis. I would get a hold of one, and then I would go off to my next thing. Sometimes I wouldn't be able to take it with me because I wouldn't be allowed to have a console at where I was. Or didn't have a television to play it with where I was, and then I would move on to my next thing after that, and I would repurchase the Genesis. Along the way, with some of that back and forth, I also picked up an Atari Jaguar for about 1 year. Played that and then traded it back in and got back hold of a Genesis just shortly before the Sega Saturn came out, and then I joined the 32-bit generation and played that console. Unfortunately, I only had the Saturn for about a year before I started seeing some glitches and material issues going on with it. I was a little bit concerned that it wasn't going to last that much longer, and I went and traded it in. Fortunately, shortly after I traded it in, Sega made the announcement that they were going to stop supporting the Saturn, so it worked out just fine. What I traded over to was the original Sony PlayStation. Voraciously started buying every game that I could get my hands on when that console came out. I should have also mentioned that when the Genesis came out, the first issue of GamePro magazine also showed up on newsstands, and it was at that point that I started kind of voraciously reading everything that I could about the video games industry and the technology that went into making a video game and making a video game console. Excuse me. After the PlayStation, I had the PlayStation for a number of years, and then wound up trading it in and getting a hold of a Sega Dreamcast when my flagship kind of console manufacturer brought a console back to the market. Fell in love with Soul Calibur, played tons of that and Power Stone with a neighbor of mine. In between the PlayStation and the Dreamcast, I also became a PC gamer. We'll swing back to that here in a little bit. Uh, with all the resource constraints that there were around the PlayStation 2, I did finally get one probably about 4 to 6 months after its initial launch. At that point was the first time that I became a two-console owner, two-console gamer, having both the Dreamcast and the Sony PlayStation 2. And then, after I'd been out of the country for a little bit, I just happened to walk into the local GameStop on launch day for the original Xbox. I quickly ran around town, traded in my Dreamcast, and through some finagling with the local GameStop representatives, got the last unclaimed original Xbox off the delivery truck that came to the store that day. I think that store got maybe 3 that day. The two of them had already been pre-ordered. I was able to lay claims to the third one to get a hold of it and started playing Halo that day. After that, I was permanently established as a two-console gamer and would go on through the remaining generations, owning both the Microsoft and Sony console of the time. So in console generation 6, I went on to the Xbox 360. And the Sony PlayStation 3. Then, sorry, console generation 7. And then console generation 8, obviously, I have the Xbox One X Scorpio and the Sony PlayStation 4 Pro. Um, as well as the Nintendo Switch. And actually, the only Nintendo console I'd owned before then was the Nintendo Wii, which I'd had for about 18 months, which is why I didn't add it as a slide into the slideshow. And then, like I mentioned, in 1999, I became a PC gamer and started upgrading and modding and building my own PCs. I had been into PC gaming maybe 10, well, not 10, maybe 5 years, or maybe, no, actually 10 years before that, but I kind of at that point didn't really investigate and go after specific games. I just kind of bought whatever games were in my local store, and I wasn't really well read up on what went into PC gaming. Also, at that point, we didn't have 3D acceleration, so PC gaming wasn't as complex as it would become later. But about 1999 was the point where I started building my own PCs. In 2002 is when I started blogging about video games and the industry and technology. And between then and now, I've maintained my own blog and obviously started this YouTube channel, as well as written for a few larger sites, both in the technology space and in the video game space. Some of my favorite games along the way have been Conquest of the Rings, which was an Odyssey 2 game. Came in like this big box set with like a game board and pieces and an overlay that went on the Odyssey 2's keyboard. And you would like go around to different dungeons on the map and lift these keycaps up, and it would indicate under the keycaps whether or not there was a ring at that location and/or a dragon. And then you would So I'm not sure exactly why, but my headset disconnected there. So another one of my favorite games was Aztec Adventure on the Sega Master System, kind of an RPG maze-like dungeon crawler. And then also Eternal Champions on the Sega Genesis was one of my favorite games of the time. So let's talk through the content that's been posted to the channel over the last month so you guys kind of have an idea of what has been going on. So, first thing in the month, I played a little bit of Infamous on the PlayStation 4. Something about the mic. So I then went on and played a little bit of Final Assault, which is a VR game. And this month, I've gotten a hold of the Oculus Rift S and as well as an HTC Vive. So this is kind of like a war game, RTS game that is available on PC. After that, I moved on and played a little bit of God's Trigger on the Xbox One, which is kind of like a twin stick. Um, it's weird. It's hard to describe it. It's a twin stick, almost kind of like a shmup. But it is one hit kill and incredibly challenging. After that, you'll find all these videos on the channel. I went on and picked up The Division 2 and decided to play this on PC. Tons of fun, and I will be going back to that game actually here today. After that, it was back to, well, actually, yeah, it was back. No, actually, I played this on PC, so I played a little bit of Forza Horizon 4 on PC this month as well. And then over to Overload on PC. In addition to playing in the conventional mode, I also played a bit of Overload in VR, which is its own highly unique and engaging experience. Tons of fun. For tech videos on the channel this month, you can find a tutorial video on how to hook up the MiraBox HSV 321, which cards. I still just put it on a USB 3.0. So that's up on the channel. A lot of people have been asking me to do a full-blown walkthrough showing them exactly how to wire everything up, so that's up on the channel. I also did an out-of-the-box video showing the Oculus Rift S on its release day, and then did my final review commentary for the Logitech G432 7.1 surround sound headset. And finally on the channel, I also did another out-of-the-box video highlighting the Hauppauge HD PVR 60 Pro. And I've been using that card extensively while it's been under test in the lab. And we'll be reporting out on that this month, probably sometime in June. Well, that's it for the content that's been up around the channel and a little bit more about me. Please feel free to drop in on me when I am either live streaming or just roll through and view the videos that are posted after the live streams and view the archive video. Thanks a lot for joining in with me today. That's going to do it for me. I am out of here.